Hello and welcome to the United Stand. How are you all doing on this Sunday night live? We've got the audio on, which is fantastic, and I've got Flex with me as well, which you should be able to see very, very shortly in your screen. But we're starting off in relation to Paul Pogba. All I feel about this Pogba thing, and we'll get into it and want your comments as usual, all I feel about this Pogba thing is this. Why has he not publicly come out and just said, I love Mourinho, I love Manchester United, and just kill this whole thing dead? Because I don't actually think there's anything in it, but for those of you who aren't too sure with what's going on, so you've got Mourinho coming out and saying United got him on the cheap. You've got some news outlets today saying that Mourinho and Pogba had a bust-up meeting last Monday, and Pogba wants Raiola to get him out of Manchester United. You've got from Mourinho's camp that he is 100% confident that he's got the backing of the board and that any dressing room dissenters will be kicked out of the club before he is. So that all sort of builds up towards that, you know, is there an issue there? Quite rightly, for me, Flex, we'll start off with your thoughts on the whole subject. You know, I like Pogba. I love Pogba, Martial, and, you know, I don't like the way that things have gone between the way Mourinho's used them on the pitch over the last few weeks. But actually, if it's Pogba or Mourinho, then Mourinho has to win because that's what's best for Manchester United, not an individual. Do you think there's anything in this?
I don't think there's anything in it in terms of he's going to leave in the summer or anything like that. I think we've invested far too much in him. I think Mourinho wanted to bring him to Man United far too much for it to go south for a couple of seasons and him just give up. I think Pogba wants to be here. I think he had a love with the club. Obviously, he was here as a youngster, and he went and spread his wings at Juventus and come back a different player. But look, Mourinho will be frustrated with Pogba's performances, obviously, because he hasn't been in the side, and rightly so. Doesn't matter about the sentiment and the affection that you've got with the player. If you're not performing, you shouldn't be playing. It's as simple as that. And I think everyone does agree with that. People have been, almost calling for Pogba to have time out of the team, and that's understandable. And obviously, Pogba will not be happy with that. It's massively, massively concerning if you've got a player playing at the highest level at the biggest club in the world who's happy sitting on the bench, who was, up until this season, our record signing. So to hear him come out and say he's unhappy, I want to hear him say that. I want to hear him, be unhappy with the game time he's getting, his performances, his level of fitness maybe, or whatever it may be. I want to hear him say that. On the other side of it, it would be nice maybe for him to just come out and say, I can't wait for next season. This has been a tough little period for me. I've struggled with this, with that. I can't wait to have a good World Cup and come back fighting again next year. But I think between the pair of them, I think because they've got it sorted, I just think Jose's probably like, Paul, don't even address it. Like, the media will be the media. We know what Mourinho feels about the media. We know how the media is towards Man United. And we've seen, obviously, what Jose's been like with the media in the past month or so. It's been a tough time. So I think with everything we've had going on, I think he's just thinking, you know what, just let it blow over. Once you go to the World Cup, have a decent World Cup. We'll get some signings in, etc. And then we go again. Now, if it goes wrong again next season, that's 3 seasons in a row. Now, that's slightly more concerning. But I think for now, there's no real problem in that in terms of him leaving. I think it's just media stuff.
Biosphere says, why is this even a discussion? If we choose Jose over Pogba, that's even worse than giving Van Gaal a 10-year contract. We've also got a few people in the comments saying, why are you doing it at 7 o'clock? In the UK, the clocks have gone forward. So it is 8 o'clock in the UK, but our clocks went forward last night. So it might mess you up globally, but we are at our normal UK 8 o'clock time. So you might have to readjust. I don't know how it works in the rest of the world. Excuse my ignorance. But Drogba did come out and say that Mourinho doesn't slate players that he doesn't like. So if you think Luke Shaw, Martial, Pogba, whatever, Drogba's basically saying he will like those players. If he's treating them badly, that's because he likes them. If he doesn't like you, he really wouldn't give a damn, and he wouldn't get involved. So maybe there's some encouragement there. I do agree with Flex. I don't think Pogba's going anywhere this summer. Although I thought the Mini Raiola comments were quite interesting when he said that United got him on the cheap, and the reason they got him on the cheap is because he wanted to come to Manchester United because they had it in the contract that the player chose the club. And if Real Madrid had wanted him, maybe they would have got a lot more money. And sticking with that, Storm said a minute ago, and let's be honest, Manchester United is what it's all about. If you were in a situation where Real Madrid wanted to take Pogba in the summer and give us Toni Kroos in return, you get Toni Kroos and Milankovic-Savic and Pogba leaves. Is that a better situation than we are now? And I think, we'll talk about Mourinho in a few minutes, but there are United fans on the live comments, and I've seen it on social media today, who are starting to, not losing too much sleep about Pogba if there was some truth in these rumours.
I think, and that's a dangerous game because, okay, you can talk about maybe getting Kroos in and players like that. Don't get me wrong, Kroos is a world-class midfielder. He's fantastic. He's ready-made. He's good to go. But what is he?
28? Yeah, he must be 28, I reckon.
So you're talking about investing, in my opinion, short term. Whereas if we can get the Pogba thing right, it's worth waiting a couple of years to 3 years to mould him to how we need him to play for us and to stick with him. Then try and just be knee-jerk. Like, I understand we need success, and we're going into probably our fifth year without winning the league, and we want things now. But if we turn into a panic club, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. Don't get me wrong. There's certain players who have come and gone quite quickly. You look at Pai, you look at Schneiderlin. I think those were obvious things where I don't think it was going to work. But what we've invested into Pogba and the affiliation he had with the club and how he come back and what we want out of him. And let's not make a mistake about this. Pogba is a fantastic player. I'm going to say he's got potential to be world class, because for me, if you're world class, it means you perform consistently at the highest level week in, week out. He doesn't do that.
Yeah,
so for me,
yet, is he?
You know what I mean? He's not there yet, but he has all the attributes to be world class. When he was at Juventus, he was pretty much referred to as a world class midfielder, and we were so excited to have him back. So we know he's got it in him. So the last thing we need is to give up early doors, invest in someone who we can only have for 2 years at their peak, if that, and then see Pogba go to Real Madrid and win Champions League after Champions League for the next 10 years. So for me, I'm not having that get rid of Pogba at all. Not at all. I mean, don't get me wrong. If he has another shocking season next year and we've played poorly and it just doesn't fit in, maybe Mourinho might go by then, and who knows, another manager might be able to get the best out of him, or if Jose's still there but everyone else played well but Pogba didn't, then that's a different situation. But at this stage, no chance. I'm not having maybe get someone else in who, I'm not saying that Kroos is not a fantastic player, because he is, and he would slot into our midfield. He would slot into any midfielder in the world. But in turn of Pogba, I wouldn't do that because of the longevity. For the good of the club, that wouldn't be good for the club long term, in my opinion.
3 years exactly between them. Kroos is 28. Pogba's just turned 25. I've got a really good question for you, Flex. Well, you might not thank me for it, but I'll come back to you. Camyar1911 says we need to build our team around talented players like Pogba, but Jose doesn't like talented players. Thanks for the contribution. Remember, you can do that through the super chat option at the bottom, and make sure you leave us a question. But you know what? I think in life and in football, the truth is always somewhere in between. You get one side, you get the other. And in football, especially around United recently and in our recent past, you get one extreme and the other. And 1 week, Pogba's world class, the next he's a flop. And the truth is obviously somewhere in between. And the thing I miss about Pogba, and when I've spoken about Pogba, and I have said he is elect world class, like you've said, I love Pogba because I think he's one of the only midfielders I think in the modern game who actually, when he gets the ball in the centre circle, he can run past the player, and once he's past that player, it's such a unique skill for a midfielder. Once you've got past that midfield, it's a bit like Mourinho and his tactics. Every player's got a role, but if you break through the midfielder that's marking Pogba, suddenly someone's got to go to Pogba, which means they leave somebody else. We don't see that enough from Pogba. Now, I don't know whether that's the tactics of Mourinho. Maybe that's why Pogba's frustrated. Or is it on Pogba because he's not producing? We don't know the truth. And I'm not saying that we need to establish the truth. What I am saying is, and I agree with Flex on that, is that if we get the best out of Pogba, we have got one of the best midfielders in the world. Forget Liverpool, City and what they say about him. He's one of the only midfielders in the world who can run at people. And we don't see that enough.
100%. I mean, let's not remember, we were singing Pogba's praises earlier this season. And as soon as he was not in the team through suspension and injury as well, we were struggling without Pogba. There was people saying we need Pogba back. So let's not get it twisted here. He's lost his way as the season's gone on. Yeah, he started really well, then he got injured, and he came back decent, Then he got suspended. Then he came back and he hasn't been good since. Probably since that suspension, he probably hasn't hit the heights from that Arsenal game. But
that Arsenal game was just bloody brilliant, wasn't he? I mean, talking about running at midfielders, put it on Lingard on a plate, didn't he? With the third goal, I think it was.
Exactly, and that is what Pogba can do. And when we were all singing our praises, we're all guilty of it sometimes as football fans. I say it week in, week out. You know, we are fickle and we do kind of go with what's going on. When Mourinho was getting it right and we just beat Chelsea and we just beat Liverpool and we come back against Crystal Palace, we were all like, yeah. Then we lose against Seville and it's like all the Mourinho outcomes. That's just the way of football. Fans are going to be like that. But I think it's very important to remember Pogba's attributes. Like you said, there's very few people that when he's on form that can do what he does. His problem is, I think his problem's actually mentally. I think his problem's actually mental strength. I don't think he's dealt with the pressure, A, as well as he thought he could, and B, as well as Man United thought he could, and the media thought he could, and the fans thought he could, because he is a fantastic player, but where he's been questioned and where he's been under criticism, I don't think he's risen up to that challenge to say, I am Paul Pogba, I'm the best midfielder in the world, I want to be Man United captain. I think
his personality is too, and it's not a criticism because I'm sure as a guy he's brilliant, but I think he's just too easygoing, isn't he? I think that's his personality. I think he needs a bit of bite to him. He's everyone's friend. He loves the dancing and the dabs, and obviously he enjoys life, and that's great. But I think he needs a bit of, like you say. The reason I interrupted there is because when you say he's struggling with the pressure, people will be like, how But I think that's it. I think his personality doesn't befit at the moment what you need to be successful at United. You need a bit of a backbone, a bit of fight in you, and that's a failing on Pogba as well. But I also do. I mean, Louise O'Donoghue says it's Mourinho's tactics 100%. That's why Pogba's not playing his natural game. I probably would agree with you when I look at the recent games. Certainly, your Chelseas and your Liverpools where we've just been defensive. Yeah, of course, that's not the sort of team that Pogba's allowed to express himself in. But I do believe Mourinho is going to change. I'm 100% sure. He's already publicly said that he tried it for the last game, and I think he knows he's got to do that, which should benefit Pogba. But if it came to the worst of the worst, Flex, and it was down to you, which obviously it won't be, but you had a choice between Pogba staying or Mourinho staying, and one of them's got to go. I can see you shaking your head, but I know a lot of people in the live comments will be applauding, saying this is the sort of questioning we want on the United stand. I'm going to have a think myself now, but where would you go, Pogba or Mourinho, if it came down to it? What's more important to you?
It depends how we're playing and the success we've been getting. If it's all gone wrong for Mourinho and he's not getting the best out of not only Pogba but the rest of the squad, and we're in an awful league position, then you've got to argue that you'd want Jose, not want Jose to go, but I would side with Pogba because he's young. He's gonna potentially, as obviously they're players so they can change clubs, but potentially he's going to be there a lot longer than Mourinho. So I think if it's not going well and Pogba isn't the only one who's not playing well, that's down to Mourinho, that's down to management, that's down to coaching. So I think as long as the problem stays with Pogba and Pogba only, you're kind of looking at it like, well, Pogba needs to rise to the challenge. But if we're underperforming as a team, as a club, with our league position, with our style of play, then Jose's got to go. He's the one who's, it's his job to get the best out of people like Pogba. And there is another side to it where players have to take responsibility for their own growth, their own development, because that's about mentality. That's about how you live off the field. That's about how much you want it, your desire, your determination, all of those personal traits. But as a manager, it is first and foremost your job to help people, help players find their best form, find their learning curves, work out what they're not good at. And if he's not doing that for a lot of players, not just Pogba, then Pogba would have to stay.
Very, very political answer. I think you should go into politics. But as things stand at the moment, very quickly, I would go Mourinho, because I think regardless, and everyone knows I back Mourinho, but I still think you've got to go with the manager. I would be very, very concerned. It's not easy for me to say I would back Mourinho over Pogba. I just do that because I believe you've got to back your manager, and I don't think Mourinho's done enough for me not to back him at the moment. But I would not be happy. The same, I wouldn't be happy if it was Martial that was going, or Rashford or someone like that. I'd be very, very unhappy. So it's just a gauge really. Something I did read today. I can't remember the paper it was in, so it's not necessarily true. But apparently, it was reported today that Manchester United actually wanted. They could have gone for Pep Guardiola. I think he was confirmed as Man City in the February. We sacked Van Gaal in the May, and then we got Mourinho, obviously. But apparently Manchester United chose Mourinho over Pep because of his success in the Premier League at Chelsea. Let me just... we've had a super chat here from Brandon Bezic. He says, if we get a player like Milankovic-Savic, Pogba will have more competition, which is what he needs, and that'll boost his mindset. Thanks for that, Brandon. I do agree with you. Biosphere says, when Jose builds a team of oldies, we have to rebuild when he leaves anyway, so why would people whinging about not wanting to start over? Interesting theory. But do you think there's anything in that? That United would have chosen Mourinho over Pep? I mean, it's irrelevant. He's at City and he's doing very well, and we've got Mourinho. And I'm sure there'll be people in live comments now saying, "Well, we should have gone for Pep." I'm still 100% happy with Mourinho over Pep anyway. But I don't think I believe that. It'd be very easy to sort of wind City fans up and say, "Oh yeah." But I think Pep was always going to City because of what was on offer there with the open checkbook, which United won't do.
Yeah, I think I don't know actually, because there is a side to me that before obviously the Mourinho got sacked and before he was kind of just almost waiting in the wings, because when Mourinho came to us, I was excited, and I just felt like it was almost meant to be rather than we went out and made it happen. So not as much as a knee-jerk reaction, but we saw what City had done there. They got Pep. And I just think as Mourinho was kind of just lingering and flirting with a job, and he was just there, and it just made sense at that time. I don't believe that they sat down and as soon as it started to go south on Van Gaal, kind of went, I tell you what, we'll go and get Mourinho. I think there was probably a bit of dialogue there and discussion about maybe getting Pep in. I could see that, if I'm honest with you. I just think where City acted quick and swift, and it just happened, and they made it happen. I think I do see an element of United thinking, hang on a minute, well, obviously we've got to get rid of Van Gaal here. Mourinho is just sitting there, a world-class manager, a proven manager. I think it was just meant to be at the time. So there could be a little bit of truth in it, if I'm honest. I think there could have been a little bit of truth. I don't think it was as easy as, no, we always wanted Mourinho right from the very, very, very start. We never even considered Pep. I think would be quite naive to think that they didn't consider or sit down and even mention Pep's name. I don't believe that.
I suppose when you look at it now, it would, in another universe, if we had actually got Pep, I know there'd be a lot of people going, "Oh, I wish we did. I'd love to see what would have happened." But I must always say that the job that he's inherited at City is a lot easier than the one that anybody would inherit at United. You walk in, you've got De Bruyne, you've got Aguero, and I would be intrigued from an intrigue point of view just to see what Pep would have done at United, but I do feel that Pep's obviously an intelligent bloke, and I don't know whether he would have fancied United, because he's got to look at that squad and go, right, straight away, I can't even name 3 players that fit in with my pressing, quick movement of the ball. We just don't have players like that. And the board would be like, we're not going to give you 600 million. So would he want that job anyway? But we would be playing entertaining football, that's for sure. 5H1V4M_10 says Mourinho lost trust in defence after the 2-1 loss to Huddersfield. We conceded 2 stupid goals. Before that, we were attacking after the 2 proper CD. After that, we've been playing 2 centre defensive midfielders. Yeah, when you track it back, I mean, we were playing very good football at the start of the season, and now it's gone the other way. But cheeky Chunky Biscuit just said there, look, if you don't want to back Mourinho, go and support City. Now is the time to back him. And obviously you were talking before we went live, Flex, saying you're bored, international break, get it over and get back on with the football. Massive few weeks ahead for United. Swansea next Saturday, we've got to win that really, and you'd expect us to win that. There's a problem if we don't. Hopefully see a more attacking United for that game. Then it's City, and then we've got Spurs at Wembley in the FA Cup. So massive few weeks. And then it's not really long till the end of the season. How are you feeling now? Because I agree with Chunky Biscuit and a few people. I think regardless of where you are with Mourinho, pending any bad result, I think as we are now, park what you feel. Let's get to the end of the season and let's see what happens in the next few weeks. Of course, everyone's got a right. If they don't want Mourinho as manager, that's fine. But I actually think, as a fan base, let's have a bit of maturity and just keep it on the down low now. And not that we can't discuss it on the shows, but all the Mourinho out, the Jose out stuff, we are going into... It's not, of course, it's not the few weeks we wanted. We want to be in the Champions League. We'd like to be fighting for a title. But we have got the FA Cup. We have got that big game against City. And I think we've got to just get to the summer now, and then let's see where we are.
That's it. That's exactly it. Like, you know, there's a time and a place to kind of, you know, voice your opinions and stuff, and it is on things like these. But in terms of getting behind the players, and I agree exactly what you just said there. It's not the few weeks that we wanted. However, I always talk about readjusting your objectives, and that's what we've had to do many times this season. And that's what we've got to do. We've got to get behind the boys. We don't want the discontent amongst the fans. Yes, I understand Jose's brand of football has brought that, and fans are, you know, we're all entitled to express our opinions, but surely what we all got in common, no matter who the manager is, no matter what players we got or whatever, we always want the team to win. That's it, simple as that. And I don't know, well, I do know about all the other Man United fans across the world. We want to beat City, or at least not let them win the league against us. We want to obviously win the FA Cup, and we want to finish second. That's all we have to play for. So out of the three objectives that we can get, we want to reach them three. So it is about getting behind the boys. And you know, there's a couple of months left at the end of the season. Let's get over the line in second place. Reevaluate what he does with this midfield, what he does with the back four. He's already said he doesn't need any attackers. I don't quite buy that. I think we'll see an attacker come in.
Yeah.
And see where we get to. And I think at the end of next season, or however next season goes, I think that is the real pivotal point in terms of Jose in or out, because I think if he continues to play the way he is and we don't challenge for the top things, I can't see it going well. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, well, Mike Thomas says Pogba out, Neymar in. Thoughts? No, not for me. I don't want Neymar, to be honest. But I know a couple of weeks ago we asked the question, and I think you said where we'd be in May, and I think you said you felt we'd get second, semi-finals of the Champions League and win the FA Cup. Granted, I think it was right after the Liverpool or Chelsea win. Have you reevaluated where you are now? And you know, obviously nobody wants to be a realist because you want to believe second in the FA Cup. But I mean, I personally think that's what's going to happen. I think we will get second in the FA Cup, and maybe that's deluded, but I actually do. But are you still on that page, or are you slightly more concerned? You know, Spurs and probably Chelsea in the final, and also we've got a bit of a cushion in second place at the moment, but. If we don't, I just feel that United are going to kick on. I think there is going to be a response, and maybe that is deluded as well.
You've just undermined everything you said. Look, I'm going to be optimistic. There's people a lot of the time say Flex, you're so negative. Well, they did say that a few months ago. I haven't had that for a little while. But I am a realist. But I'll be honest, I've got a feeling it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough, especially how we played against Spurs in the league at Wembley. They're going to be very strong there. Harry Kane or no Harry Kane, they're going to be very difficult to beat them. We'll have to be on our game. But I think the fact that the fans are split more evenly, it's not exactly like a home game for Spurs. The atmosphere won't be as much in their favour. So I think the players will probably thrive off that. I think we'll still win the FA Cup. I definitely still think we'll finish second. I don't think we'll slip into third or fourth. I think we'll get second in the bag, and I think we'll go on to finish the season strongish. I don't want to say too strong because it's not really playing for anything. It's only second place, but I think we'll get the FA Cup, and finish second. I'm going to stick with that.
Good. Jay Streams says Mark is delusional, and Mark Mourinho fan over United fan, says Kulan 7100. Not really. I think Mourinho's the manager. I did want Van Gaal out 4 months before he went. Everybody's got a tipping point, and I'm just not at that point with Mourinho, and I do want him to have 3 years. I think it's really important that he does that. Unless, like Flex says, something really goes badly over the next 6 months, then it becomes, your opinion's going to change. But as of things now, I'm not Mourinho out, and I do want to see what happens this summer. I'm encouraged by what he said not everything he said in all those interviews, but when he said, I've spent the last 2 days training them to move the ball quicker, I totally agree with everyone who said, why has he not done it for the last 2 years? But at least there is that acceptance that he's got to change. And I think these next few weeks, I'm excited about them. I am actually excited about them because I'm like, if he carries on with the Sevilla tactics, the Fellaini's and all that lot, more and more people will go out. And I think he knows that. If he starts trying to get the best out of Pogba, Sanchez, Martial, Lingard, Rashford, then I think, exciting signings in the summer. I think we've got things to be optimistic about. But it's a huge ask. I think we've got to be realistic. It's a huge ask to be where we are now and think that next season we could win the league. Or is it? I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
As in, can we win the league next season? And jump them 16 points if it's not bigger. Look, everyone's got a lot of catch up to do to City. I don't think they're going to have as good a season next year as they have this year. I think teams will catch them up. I think we'll work out a way to at least make it a challenge. Obviously, I'm not going to just say, we'll win the league next year. City are going to be crap. I'm not saying that. But I don't think they're going to run away with it how they've run away with it this season. That very rarely happens 2 seasons in a row. Look, can we do it? Of course we can. Of course we can. Man United, I'm always going to believe we can. But Jose has to change. If Jose doesn't change, we definitely won't. By playing the way we play now, at this current moment, no chance. But with different, we'll see who he brings in the summer. Midfielders, if we're more dynamic in midfield, more difficult to beat in midfield. If we get proper fullbacks, I know Valencia is obviously solid, but he's not going to last too much longer. And we know obviously about the Luke Shaw situation, Ashley Young. I want to see us as well sort out like our centre back pairing, because we've had some good. Smalling and Jones have been good in patches, then been awful in patches. Rojo came in for a bit after a long injury, looked good. We know that Eric Bailly is our best defender. So I would like to see that made permanent. I would like to see our back 4/back 5, hopefully if De Gea stays, just be shored up. Because I do believe to get, I used to play a lot of basketball, and there's a saying that, offense wins games, but defense wins championships. And it's the same thing in football. I think if you've got your same back 5 week in, week out, I think you can tweak the top end of the pitch, keep people in and out of form, whoever's feeling it. But your defence, I think, you should know what your best defence is, your back 5. So I would like to see us do that. And if we can do that, then I think we've got a chance. But if he doesn't change and the bringing in the summer isn't good, then I think we're asking for trouble again.
Yeah, I think United's attack is a sleeping giant. I really do. I think you look at the players that we've got, and they're just not doing what they're capable of. And Pogba falls into that category. Of course he does. And I just think tactically it needs to change it. And then I think we'll start to see what we saw at the start of the season. Paul Robinson says 2 days, Mark. It's taken Jose 18 months to get where we are now. What will 2 days do? Totally agree with that, Paul. But I do think after that Sevilla result, it caused a massive, massive issue for the fan base. And he either carries on doing what he was doing, which the fan base were appalled with, or he changes. And I think there's been an attitude of change. We might see defensive against Swansea at the weekend, and he's not changed. So it's going to be very, very interesting these next few weeks, especially with games like we've got coming up. Mike Thomas says, put a twist on the question. If we slumped and dropped out of the Champions League places, would you still want Mourinho? I'm Mourinho in, by the way. I'll come back to that one. And Vibanash says, what if we got out of the quarters in the Champions League, come second in the Premier League, win a domestic cup maybe? Should Jose be allowed to stay? Thanks for the contribution. I presume you're talking about next season, because he says quarters in the Champions League, second in the Premier League. Next season, I would imagine that would probably be good enough for the board. Remember, the board are always going to be quite manipulated by money. If we drop out the Champions League places, I don't really think... Let me have a quick look at the table. I mean, anything's possible, but we've got 65 points. Chelsea are 9 points behind us with 8 games to go. We'd have to go some to drop out of the top.
It's a small run, but it's football. You never know. Lose 3 on the bounce, that's 9 points there. And if Chelsea win them 3,
I think Chelsea have got Spurs coming up as well.
They've got them next. Yeah.
I can't see us dropping out, but let's answer that question. If we did drop out the top and we're not in the Champions League next year. I don't think that changes. I mean, you might think differently. I don't think that changes what the board think. As a fan, I would not be very happy if we weren't in the Champions League. I'd be like, how? Because as you just said there, Flex, it would mean these next 6 weeks we'd have to really flop and lose a lot of games, and that would probably mean we're not playing very good football. I do think that this time between now and the end of the season will be key, and I'm optimistic that we're going to see a different United. But if it went badly, it's only going to get worse in relation to what people are feeling, I suppose.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't even want to be a pessimist to think about that. But to be fair, it's a fair question. It's a fair question because it is football, and anything can happen. But I can't see that happening. But if it did, I think he'd have to go straight away. I don't think he would, because I don't think the board would sack him. But we didn't finish in the top four, given the position we're in now as well. And I think we've only been third for a couple of days or something. We've been second pretty much the whole time.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That would be catastrophic, and that would be a massive intent. Because if that happened within the next, we've got 8 games left, 7 games. If that happened within 7 games, that would suggest to me that something's not right and the players ain't playing for him, in my opinion. Because after getting into a cement second in what we've done this season, if that was to just suddenly happen, there would be something majorly wrong there. That means that the criticism that he's been giving the players, they don't like it, the training, something would be wrong.
Yeah, definitely.
And he would have to go, but I don't think the board would. But yeah. I don't want to see that happen at all.
Yeah, and it is a good question, but reality is I can't see that happen. Famous last words, but Chelsea do play Spurs on Sunday. They're 9 points behind us. They'd have to pretty much win all their games, and even we've got Swansea on the weekend at home, which we should win. That would leave us with 7 games left. Then we've got City away. Obviously, that's difficult, but then we've got West Brom at home. Should win that. Bournemouth away. Should be beating them really. Arsenal at home, we're definitely going to win that. And Brighton and Watford at home, Brighton away. The running is just, it's a very good running for United. I just can't see us shifting. Chelsea got to win all their games and we've got to lose 3. I can't see us losing 3 games in the next 5. I mean, Man City's probably the only one that concerns me. Arsenal, as I say, is a guaranteed 3, but H13 says, can't see Pogba going before Shaw and Martial, so it would be Pogba, Martial and Shaw versus Jose, and either way, as a club we lose, so hopefully nothing in this story yet. I hope so as well. Interesting question. I actually was, Sander put it forward. He replied to the tweet that we put out on a Sunday evening saying, is there any topics people want discussing? And do get commenting in the live comments, because we'll take some questions now. But this was an interesting one, and I think it was something that DT or Arsenal Fan TV definitely mentioned it, because Sander gave him a shout out and said, nicking it from them, but it's a good question. International break, obviously. If you had the choice of watching England win the World Cup or United winning a league title, I think it was the league title. What would you go for?
I think it was Champions League. Or was it Champions League, you said?
Yeah, I'm changing it, league, because we haven't won the league. I know we've won a lot of leagues, but we haven't won the league for a while. And I agree with a lot of people who say we don't want to become Arsenal 10 years without a title, or God forbid 30 like Liverpool. So. I mean, yeah. Answer both. Then would if it was the Champions League or the league, would you rather see United do that than watch England win a World Cup? People in the live comments will start answering as well, I'm sure.
I think nice if England won the World Cup, though, wouldn't it? 66, man, that's a long time. But I'm going to be selfish now. I want to see us win the league, because I don't want to turn into a Liverpool. Well, not Liverpool, because they've never won it, but like an Arsenal who haven't won it in years. I don't want to be remembered as a team that used to be good. So I'm going to be selfish and say I prefer Man United to win the league than England win the World Cup. The Champions League, we won it a couple of times already, so I'll keep it a bit neutral and a bit patriotic. I'll take us winning the World Cup over us winning the Champions League. But the league, I'd put that first.
Samuel Kuma says England winning the World Cup any day. Then Shaka Phillips says United winning a league title every day of the week. I suppose it depends whether you're English. Don't say if go with the country that you are. Because obviously a lot of people are going, I'd rather United win it than England if you're Scottish. So imagine it's your country. Gens Tech says the Champions League. Bjorn Lundberg, there's always one, says both. You've got to make a choice, mate. You get splinters sitting on that fence. I would take United winning the title and the Champions League over, either of those over England winning the World Cup. I think if you'd asked me 10, 15 years ago, I probably would have said England winning the World Cup. But I've just totally and utterly fell out of love with England football team. I can't stand Southgate as a manager. I watched that game on Friday and they're just not inspiring. However, I think it might change in 4 years' time because some of the younger English teams are absolutely tearing it up. And I just think, I was the same when Graham Taylor was manager. They're just uninspiring, dead ideas, boring. And you know what? Hopefully that will change. But for me at the moment, and actually, United need to win a league title. So I would put United over England. It'd be nice to see England win a World Cup, but I think United winning a league title is far more important. Rahul says international football is just a distraction from what really matters, club accomplishments. And Lida says, I am English, but I want United to win. Mr. Junior says, it's got to be the country, it will just be better. And England will never win the World Cup with Lingard, says Cassell. I'm not talking about Lingard, it just gets too controversial. England will never win a World Cup again. True facts, says Rubio. Anyway, let's get some different questions in. Good question here from Craig Barley. A little bit of a different one as well, which we'd like to take in the latter part of the show. Are you worried about Liverpool next year with their incomings? If we don't get two big midfielders and a top centre-back, I'll be very worried for our league hopes. Liverpool deluded, definitely. They think that they're having a fantastic season. They think Salah's as good as Ronaldo. The reality is they are 5 points behind us. We're moaning about our football and our manager, but we are 5 points clear of Liverpool. It defies belief how Liverpool fans are sat there content with their team, and we're all going mad about ours. And it just shows you the standards, because we're better than, we're in a better position than them in March. It's a fact. Of course, the football's not good, and Liverpool do play good football, but the reality is points don't lie. I've heard Klopp say next year they really want to go for the title. They're going to get Keita. They'll probably buy a couple of other people. Are you worried about the likes of Liverpool or Spurs surpassing us next season?
No. I think Spurs have got as good as they can potentially get with the players that they've got and the structure that they've got. They've got pretty much the same players as last season. They fell short. Well, with Spurs, I've just gone into it. They've never actually been first and had the title to lose. So for all they've got Kane and Son doing bits, and Eriksen's wicked, and Ali's amazing. They've still never actually had a title challenge with them players. I think Pochettino, me personally, has taken them as far as they can go. They could probably maybe get a second, but I don't think they're going to go and win big honours. I think that team will end up kind of just disintegrating over the next sort of 3 years when certain players jump ship because they want to win something. That's just my opinion. Liverpool, like you said, we're complaining about our football whilst they're playing the best football they've played in years, and they're still not ahead of us. So realistically, I've said it before, I'll say it again. To me, Klopp isn't doing anything different to when Rodgers was there. To be fair, he's doing worse because at least Rodgers gave him a title challenge and they nearly won it. So, I'm not worried about Liverpool at all. Not at all.
All I'm going to say is I think that England team on Friday has got more chance of winning the World Cup than Liverpool of winning a title in my lifetime. I just think they're so far off, and I enjoy how deluded they are. I've got no concerns about Liverpool. I think Salah's had a very good year, and I think Salah reminds me of Man City next year. Can Salah have a season like that again? Can City have a season like that again? I don't think so. Bjorn Lundberg says, any comments about Pep, Nandrolin and Dr. Segura? I'll have to have a quick look at that, Bjorn. We'll take another question and I'll have a quick look online because I haven't seen anything about that today. I don't know whether it's relevant or not. LFC Regan's on about how, it's not a Liverpool fan channel. I know this channel is far better than anything Liverpool have got to offer, but we're not going to start talking about how much Liverpool have spent. The reality is Klopp's record's pretty much the same as Brendan Rodgers, so there we go. If Pogba goes, United should bring Eriksen as number 10, says Akash. Opinions on Manolas to join with Bay and Bellerin long term, says Chris and Harry. I really do like Manolas from Roma, but I've not heard us be linked to him for a long time, and I hate this. Came to YouTube to wait for the show, then went down the rabbit hole of YouTube football skills vid and Twitter. Completely forgot the show. Seeking the beginning now, Kwame. Hey, come on, mate. 8 o'clock. Get here for 8. Biosphere says Messi, Lingard lifting the World Cup trophy. But, you know, be nice. But then you're going to wake up. England fans think Jesse Lingard will win in the World Cup. I don't think many Manchester United fans do, to be honest. And that's nothing against him. I just think if that's what they're pinning their hopes on, exactly, you know, you look at the... I mean, just on that, I mean, I don't know whether you watched England on Friday, Flex, but, you know, Jordan Henderson is a playmaker. I think we had 4 full-backs playing in a back 5. Just a very... I mean, Holland were worse, but a very, very poor team. You look at England, and it's the thing I said to someone last night down the pub was, this is how bad England are. Every World Cup and Euros, the press will always build us up that, oh yeah, we're going to win it, even though we know we're not going to. They're not even bothered this time. And then you look at Germany, France, Spain, their third team would batter our first team. We just I think there are positive times to come if you're into England or whatever. There's some really, really good players coming through, but we're about 5-6 years away. It's shocking at the moment.
Yeah, it's not great. I've done a show with Robbie yesterday on another channel, just talking about England and England's hopes and chances, etc. I've fallen out of love with international football as well, with England, because, like you said, we get a little bit excited trying to think they're going to do bits and they just fall horribly short. Look at the Euros, man. I mean, to go out to Iceland, minnows. Look at the pool of players that we've got to choose from in England, because we're such a big nation, a football mad nation, and look at the size of Iceland. How does that happen? Something is massively wrong within our structure for things like that to happen. We struggled to get out of the group. Was it Daniel Sturridge scored like a last-minute winner? I think, can't remember who it was against. But, you know, I just don't get excited about it. But, of course, when it's on, I want England to do well. I'll support England. I want them to do well. I will watch the World Cup and back England, of course. I'm English, but I'm not expecting anything. You know, Robbie was saying to me that where he thinks that we should finish in the semi-final with the players that we've got. And I said, well, not really, because I can list 7 teams probably that are all better than us. On paper, off paper, reputation-wise, past, you know, they're all better. So on what grounds do we have to be finishing in the semi-final position? So I think for England, it's got that bad that if we get to the quarters, it's progress. That's how bad we are.
Definitely is, yeah. I was just having a look at Pep Guardiola here, just to try and find out what Bjorn's on about. And I hadn't seen this. This is quite funny. So Mini Raiola, obviously Pogba is what we started off with. He's come out with some quotes. Pep Guardiola, the coach, is fantastic. As a person, he's an absolute zero. He's a coward, a dog. He's a classic priest. Do as I tell you, don't do what I do. I went for him the night in the corridors of Wembley after the Barcelona beat Manchester United in the Champions League final, and AC Milan's chairman stopped me. Lucky for Guardiola. Quite strong words there, calling him a dog and a coward. I think it's to do with Zlatan, but you know, I don't think Pogba will ever be going to Man City while he's got that agent.
Nah, definitely not. I don't think Pogba will go to Man City anyway, ever. But that Raiola, he's a character, and he's a super agent, but he's a character, and he'll stir the pot. He'll say controversial things. I just think he's got so much money and success within that field. I think he just says what he thinks. Doesn't think about what he's saying. Just says whatever comes to his head. He's just a bit of a madman, isn't he, really?
Yeah, well, and again, I think if there was a problem with Pogba, then Mini Raiola wouldn't be backwards in coming forward. But then again, when he's saying comments like today that Manchester United got Pogba on the cheap and he's probably worth about 200 million, you could interpret that of, you know, he's focused on money, like Flex says there. Is he already sort of touting it out? That's what it's going to cost to get him out there. And I think United, 200 million for Pogba, if they were looking to get rid of him, they probably would do it. Craig McGulla Games says, thanks Craig, he says Perisic would have been the left winger we needed and would have solved, we're on the same page, Craig. I really wanted Perisic. A lot of people were unsure, but having watched him a lot in Serie A last season and this season, unfortunately, he would have been perfect for us. If you think Matic has been good, he would have been brilliant, but I don't think it's going to happen now. Salim says, Mark, we can win the title next season. We focus game at a time and give their best. Yeah, new season, new start, isn't it? We won't be 17 points behind Man City in the first game of the season, will we? We'll all start the same. Politico Now's drunk. He says Liverpool are going to win the league next year. and remember what I just said. Don't worry, mate. I bookmarked that just so we can all have a laugh. And Pep treated Ibra awfully, says Andrew K. He did. And Louise says, I support United, but Jose, I can say I have doubts he will really change. I will let him leave before any of our youth talent. And Mini Diver is talking about Fellaini. And I want more. This was an interesting one. Maud says Wales are a threat because of Ryan Giggs, Fergie style. Not sure what he's on about there, but Ryan Giggs was asked about Gareth Bale. And they twisted it. I remember that I think it was the Metro definitely said that Ryan Giggs advises Gareth Bale not to join Manchester United. And the quote I read was something along the lines of, why would you leave someone like Real Madrid? They're one of the top 3 or 4 clubs in the world. He never mentioned Manchester United. And I think a lot of people think, well, Giggs would advise him to come to United. But you've got to remember, Giggs, I don't think, a lot of people feel that Giggs is probably not happy with United because he felt he was promised the job after Van Halen. He didn't get it. Do you think Ryan Giggs would advise Bale to stay at Real Madrid or over coming to United? Would you want Bale at Manchester United?
So the first question, would I think Giggs would advise him against it? I think Giggs would be honest with Bale. He's a countryman and now he's his manager. And the way Man United are at the moment, and obviously he's in a very good Real Madrid team, I could see him just giving him his honest opinion. I don't think just because Giggs is a United legend and obviously we love him and etc., I don't think that's enough for him to just say to Bale to go there if he doesn't believe it is. So I'm 50-50 on that. I think Giggs would just give him his honest answer. I don't think his affiliation with Man United and history of Man United would be enough for him to just think that it was the best move for Bale. And would I want Bale at Man United? Look, man, his injury record is just so bad, so bad. And we've been linked with him for years now, years. I'm a bit bored of that, to be honest. If he could stay fit, which is obviously hypothetically you don't know until you buy him, but of course I would have him. He's a world-class player, but always proven he's got elements of being world-class, because again it's about consistency. To be truly world-class, I think you have to do it week in, week out in the biggest competitions for the biggest clubs, and he has done it in glimpses in Champions League finals, in Copa del Rey finals, and he has shown he's got that. But it's just the consistency, it's just his fitness. So, great player. Do I want him at United? I'll be very reluctant because of his injuries. Very reluctant.
Samuel Pinsey is a Chelsea fan. He says, I know this is a United channel, but do you think we've got any chance of top 4 once we beat Spurs next Sunday at the Bridge? Well, you'll be 12 points behind us on Sunday because we'll beat Swansea on Saturday. Then you'll beat Spurs if you think you are. You'll be 9 points behind us with 7 to go. You're not catching us, but if you're going to you might catch Spurs, you might catch Liverpool. And to be honest, mate, I ain't bothered. It's all about United. So if you get top 4, you get top 4. But if I personally don't think Chelsea will get top 4. I think it will be.
I'm not going to be as horrible as you. I'm actually going to answer that question.
Go on then.
I don't think that Chelsea will do it. I think Spurs will hold their position. I think so will Liverpool.
Yeah, and I think over the season, Liverpool, Spurs, City definitely deserve top 4. We do because the points we've got. I know people don't like the way we've played, but as I keep saying, look at the points we've dropped this year. Huddersfield, Newcastle to name 2. Over Christmas we drew 2 at home and we're still comfortably second. The football's not good enough, I accept, but we totally deserve to be where we are. I don't think Chelsea...
You always deserve to be where you are. You always do.
Yeah.
You always get what you deserve, the points-wise.
I mean, I'm really looking forward to that Arsenal game at the end of April because I cannot wait for it. Yeah. Because I don't know. I mean, you obviously do the shows with Robbie, and we have a little bit of interaction with them and DT on Twitter, and they seem to be, talk about Liverpool fans being deluded. I was looking at it the other day. They are pontificating about Alexis Sanchez and I can't believe the gall of them to stick their nose in our business. But we're 17 points clear of them, so they're over 30 points off the top. But they're 17 points off us, and they're giving it this mouth. And I just think, come up to Old Trafford because we will definitely beat. I'll tell you what, put your mortgage on that. We're going to beat Arsenal. We're not that bad.
Football's football, Mark. Be careful, mate. But look, you got to. I'm pretty sure we'll beat them as well, but you never know because you're talking about putting mortgages on it and that. Jesus.
Yeah, I ain't got much of a mortgage, but there you go. Biosphere says we should have given Giggs time. I still think I don't think it was right to give Giggs the role, but no, I mean I am, and I want to get everyone else's thoughts in the live comments. Let's get everyone's opinion on this. What are you feeling about the next 6 or 7 weeks? Because I am optimistic. Maybe it's the international break making me, think weirdly because there's no football and you start getting excited. But I just do think we're gonna see a different United, and what a platform to be in. Second, I want to be in the Champions League, but we're not. We're second. We can secure that. FA Cup semi-final, win that, get a final at the end of the season, do something positive in the summer. But I think we're going to see something positive from United over the next few weeks.
I do as well. The optimism does come a little bit from wanting something to look forward to, if I'm honest. After that come down from Seville, it took me still just getting out of my system now, if I'm being deadly honest with you. It was such a come down, such a disappointment. So it's nice to kind of just build your hopes up for something else to get excited about and win something. It's our last little ditch of getting something that season. So even if I wasn't sure, I'd still say I was. I still want to back it. I want something to get excited about in these last sort of couple of months. You need something to play for, don't you? So I think we'll be all right. Like I said, I definitely think we'll finish second. And I'm optimistic. I think we'll win the FA Cup. It'll be difficult, of course it will. But I just think we're going to win it. I want to think we're going to win it. I want something to look forward to. So that's what I'm going to go with.
I can't find the bloody comment now. I'll try and paraphrase what it was, but it was something along the lines of, let's see how optimistic you are when Fellaini signs a new contract next week. We finish fourth playing crap football. We get hammered by City. They win the title in front of us, and Spurs beat us in the Cup. And Martial leaves in the summer. Well,
I mean,
we'll deal with that if it happens, but yeah.
Yeah, I think I might go into a deep state of depression if that happened. Nah, I don't like to think that negative. Jeez, people call me negative. Even I don't think that bad. That is really writing one against, doesn't it?
Kingdom FX says, you said we'd definitely beat Newcastle and Burnley, and we didn't. Don't count your chickens and football match. Oh, of course. Yeah. I also said we would definitely beat Chelsea, and we did. And I said that for 3 months, and we did. So it's a roll of the dice. Of course, you've got to have bravado. I loved beating Liverpool because Liverpool fans were convinced they were going to come and beat us. It was brilliant when we beat them, and then we destroyed it ourselves 3 days later by losing to Sevilla and lost all that credit. But I think there's reason to be optimistic. But I do agree. A lot of people mention about Fellaini. He's got to go. If he signs him, it's another nail in the coffin, isn't it? Because a lot of people won't be happy with that. And I think the one thing is, and you should feel very privileged as fans, and we should all do that, because I think Mourinho's now realised he's got to get the fans on side. I think at other clubs he probably wasn't that bothered. Real Madrid, he had quite a tempestuous relationship with them. But I think at United he's realised, Flex, he's got to get them on side. It's United's different to everybody else. It's you can't just win football playing badly. You've got to do it the right way. And I think Mourinho probably came in and thought, I can do it my way, and they'll accept it. And he's seen that, So
I'd like to think that, yeah. I'd like to think it.
Hassan says, be ready for a deep state of depression. We'll be out in the FA Cup and we will lose with City, says Hassan. If we lose to City, Flex, I mean, obviously everyone's going to not like it because we'll see them win the title. But that, what does anybody seriously think we should go to City and beat them? I mean, even the most die-hard United fan, of course we don't want to lose that game, but they're a very good team this year, and we haven't been a very good team this year, like from January. I think if we can pull out anything there, we should take it, because of course they're massive favourites to beat us, and they can smell blood, literally. They'll see them red shirts and they'll be sniffing out blood, because they can do something you never really get an opportunity to do very often, which is win the title against your biggest rivals at home.
That's it. If we were in their shoes, we'd want to put them to the absolute sword, wouldn't you? You'd want to absolutely muller them. So I'm dreading that game, if I'm honest with you. I know if you're looking at the glass half full, it's a chance to really, dent them, because all their fans will be giving it'll be bragging rights. But essentially, like you said, they're in the best form in the league. What have they just drawn? One, lost one, won all the rest, haven't they? So they've been fantastic this season, way better than us, clearly. And every United fan, exactly, no matter how much you support Man United and got your Man United hat on, you're looking at that game thinking that's going to be flipping hard. It's going to be hard not to get beat. especially the way we're playing. So, yeah, I just hope it's not embarrassing.
It is interesting as well because I think maybe on Saturday against Swansea we see a more expansive United if Mourinho is doing what he says he's doing, but then the next week that might get parked literally because I don't think we can go to City and be expansive. I don't think anybody in this league can go to City and be expansive. I think we will have to park the bus, and I hope that fans don't, unless it's like Fellaini and people like that picked, I just hope that the fans just give us a little bit of leeway in that game, because I think the only way we can get something out of that is by playing defensive. Because
exactly, but the way Chelsea played against them, I wouldn't want to see that. I know there's parking the bus, but like I said, if you park the bus, you still got to show a little bit of attacking intent going forward.
They're weak at the back, aren't they? Bit of pace on the break.
So, yeah, exactly. So I wouldn't want to see a Chelsea performance. That is just basically, we may as well put our reserves out or not even go to the Etihad. We may as well say we'll forfeit the 3 points. You want to see a little bit of fight. You want to see. I actually would like to see us have not go all guns blazing at them, because that's, you'll get undone. But I would like to see us have a little bit of intent to try and win the game a bit. Do you know what I mean? Where possible. I don't want to see us just sit there like Chelsea, just waiting for them to concede. I'd waiting to concede. I don't want to look like a sitting duck. It'd just be embarrassing, given what's on the line. Because we can upset them and just at least delay their title winning game for a game at least.
And a small victory, but yeah.
I mean, that will. I'll tell you what. If we went and won that game with a good performance, I'm not going to say people would be like Jose in, but it would get the fans, buzzing again. It would go, especially going into the games that we've got coming up, in the FA Cup with that. So, it would be nice to see. But like I said, I'm not holding my breath.
Just to end it on a positive, Biosphere says, I hope Mourinho and Fellaini get fired on the same day. There you go. But tomorrow night at 8 o'clock is the Skype show, so if there's anything you want to discuss that's sort of clicked in your brain in this show, or that we haven't discussed or anything like that, Monday night 8 o'clock is your show to call in and have your say. Thanks for coming on, Flex.
Yeah, no problem. Always good to have me. In fact, you know what? I keep saying it. When it's been so busy, but since we reached 200k, I know we're nearly on 210k. You guys are amazing. I'll need to give away, I'll do a competition to give away 2 signed One Matter shirts. We're probably going to do one on the United Stand Instagram and one on my Instagram account. So look out for the details on how to win one, obviously, One Matter shirt. But I have 2. So we'll look at that. But stay tuned on how you can win those as well, because I have been meaning to do it since 200k, because you guys are amazing. So thank you for that. But we're on 210. I can't believe it already. So look out for that. Yeah,
thanks everyone for watching tonight. Do smash that like button on your way out. Let's see if we can get to 1,000 quickly. And really enjoyed it. No Sophie tonight. I've only just remembered that. I mean, not in a bad way. She normally is on the show, but she's at a family deal or something like that. So she'll be back next Sunday. We're back tomorrow night at 8 o'clock, like I said. So thanks everybody for watching. Really, really enjoy the chats and everything like that we have. And international break's nearly over now, so we're building towards a football match and a really, really crucial few weeks. So speak to you all tomorrow, and thanks for watching. Speak to you all soon. Bloody flew by again.
Yeah, went quicker than normal. That.
Definitely.
That was good.